Okay, it's May 1st, around 7:15 PM, and I'd like to open the Zoning Board of Appeals business meeting. The Board of Appeals will conduct this meeting according to rules laid out in Chapter 40A of the General Laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Robert's Rules of Order, and its own particular set of rules entitled Rules of Procedure, a copy of which is on file with the town clerk, and another copy is available from the clerk at this meeting. And this meeting is being recorded for the purposes of taking minutes. First order of business, we do not have any finance update, right, Patty?
No.
So the first order of business is a warrant to H.L. Graham Associates. Should be in our packet. Thank you.
I just need a motion for this.
Okay, somebody want to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to pay H.L. Graham Associates, Inc. for professional services rendered in connection with the technical review agent services for 34 East Main Street, the Ellison property, for the period ending 4/6/18 in the amount of $860 from the ZBA special escrow account 8000-258139.
A second on that?
Second.
Okay. Thank you, Sean.
I need 4 signatures.
Okay, any discussion on this? Nope. This account is going to remain open for the time being. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none. That motion carries. Do I hear a motion to approve the business and hearing minutes of April 3rd, 2018?
Move to approve the business and hearing minutes of April 3rd, 2018.
Second.
Dave, Sean. Everybody have a chance to review them? And are there any comments or discussion? Everybody good? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none. Those minutes are approved for April 3rd. Any other new business? Anything else, Patty? We
Just a letter,
correspondence, I guess, but that's.
yeah, one letter
Can I send it?
Oh, yeah.
this is the next hearing, that's getting their plans ready for 20 Amberg Street. It's for an accessory apartment addition.
Is that in here? So we don't have a packet yet on that.
No. They had to adjust the plans. And all the other correspondence, there's the fire department letter that I handed you
Right.
earlier. And then, the rest of it is the packet underneath your agenda that Shauna dropped off.
That correspondence relates to a.
Yes. And then I have items that Jason Mello dropped off. And I'll hand those, I don't want you to have too much, so
Yeah.
before I go, I'll hand those out.
Too late. I already do.
I gave you yours.
Okay. No other correspondence, right? So we'll touch on those when we
And if
get back to the hearings.
everybody could just check the next, hearing dates, the July, the calendars and stuff, that's it.
So we have June 5th as an upcoming hearing date, and then July 10th.
July is the second Tuesday, because the 4th is a Wednesday before.
Right, so it's the second Tuesday of the month. August 7th, okay. Any items not reasonably anticipated by the chair? Need to bring up? No?
Do we need to read the letter from fire into record?
We do, but I
When
thought
we
we'd
open.
wait until
Going
we
forward,
get
right,
back into the
okay.
hearing and read it into the hearing minutes.
Later, late, but, you know, late
Yeah,
better
that's-
than never.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's why I put it
I
here,
got it.
yeah.
Do I hear a volunteer, Dave?
Pardon me?
Do I hear a volunteer?
Oh, to read?
I put whole.
To remind me.
Yeah.
All right, anything else? Okay. Motion to close the business for May 1? Anyone?
Move to close the business meeting for zoning board of appeals for May 1st, 2018.
Second?
Second, May 1st?
Second.
May
Yeah.
1st.
May
Sorry, I got all
1st.
that. Who's on first?
Close them all.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Business meeting is closed, and we're gonna take a recess until 7:30, where we will open our first hearing for tonight.
going.
26th after the planning board meeting
8 o'clock for me.
for Rob's
Oh.
notes. Are these a result of the meeting, or are these his notes going into the planning board meeting?
After.
Okay, good.
After.
Oh, good,
yeah,
okay,
yeah, yeah.
great.
No, that was incorporated into Larry Graham's report dated April 26th, sorry.
Great.
His email said that. June 5th.
Patty, what?
On your hearing to this point, so we're gonna give you the opportunity to continue if you so choose.
Yes, we would like to
Okay.
request a continuance without discussion until your June 5th meeting?
Fifth meeting, right, that'll be at 7:30.
Okay.
You guys have any discussion about the continuance itself, not about the hearing?
No, I don't.
Is that good with that?
That's
All right,
fine.
we'll book it for 7:30. Do I have a motion to continue the hearing for 203 East Main Street?
So moved.
Thank you, Paul.
Second?
It'd be at 7:30. Okay, any discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very
Sure,
much.
we'll
We'll
see you in a month.
then.
Thank you.
All right, take care. Told you it would be brief. All right.
Sign.
All right, so I can't give any of this out. Why not? Can I still give this out?
What?
You got
Where
this
are
in
we?
an email, can't I send it? Yeah.
Okay, so I'd like to open the hearing then for
Sure.
34
Take
East
it
Main
June-
Street.
Take it with you for June 5th. I'm not gonna do it.
Okay.
Reopening, I guess.
Yes.
How you guys doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. I'm gonna waive the reading of the legal ad since it's already been done. We continued for
We don't know.
a number of times. You guys all set?
Yes.
All right. And just to introduce the members, Paul Schillen, Sean Dean, Dave Kapnis, Jeff Moore, the chair. We also have Town Council Amy Questle here. And you know Larry Graham is the technical consultant for this project. You know him pretty well, so. What I'd like to do is for tonight, since we haven't met in a while, I thought we could just kind of get everybody up to speed with what's been going on. We've met with the planning board for a couple of times in a few iterations. There's been a lot of progress on the plans and a lot of review that's been done by Larry and the planning board. So if you want to just kind of get us up to speed with what you're doing, then I thought what we'd do is have Larry kind of update the board on
Okay.
some of those technical changes that have been made. We don't have to go into all detail, Larry, but we do have your report, but I think it would be appropriate for you to kind of update the board on what you've done to date, working with these folks, and kind of briefly discuss where we are with the plan, and I know there's some additional changes that need to be made. And so, with that, and then we'll go from there. So, with all that being said, you guys want to,
So I
that's
think
where we
there's,
stand here.
we've gone, as you guys know, we've gone before the planning board, and we're finally back with their blessing and recommendation. Like Jeff said, we have just a couple more changes, but we didn't want to make them until we came here, because it's basically, they're good with the whole concept, and there's tiny little changes. The other thing I need to make you aware of is, I know I submitted an amended list of waivers, but I think I need to do a second amended list of waivers because we changed the septic. And so we're not requesting a bunch of waivers that had to do with the septic. So I think that makes your job a little bit easier.
Was that submitted to Patty already?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
I just.
I was going through that the other night, and I was a little confused on a couple of issues, so that might help.
I think
Clear it
that
up.
would help. I know I have to submit it to Patty. I did bring copies for everyone. Can you guys look at them, or?
Sure.
I
She
mean,
New
has it.
stuff?
yeah. There are 2 pages. You just want to take 2 and pass them. I think I'd fine.
So maybe there's two.
it's okay with you guys, maybe we can talk about the site plan first, because there's been a lot of progress on that.
Sure. Do you wanna see the updated plan?
Sure, I mean, you can go kind of through that, and maybe Larry can update us on that.
Yes.
And then, there's a few things that we know we need to accomplish between now and the next time we meet, so we can kind of move on to that after we get an update. Is that okay? Unless you
Yes.
have a presentation
No,
already
I
prepared.
don't. I don't think it needs to. Everyone knows the project and everything. I think, I mean, I think we're in good shape. You got, I let Rich show you the new plan, the new, layout. But I think, you know, we do not have our approval from the Board of Health yet, but we're working on it, and I know Rich can give you an update on that. But I mean, if you look at the new list of amended waivers, you know, it really has to do with the setbacks and the maximum allowable height and obviously the intensity of use, which is the main reason why we're here. So I think that has, I know the board was concerned about certain other waivers that had to do with the septic, and now we don't have to do those. That can be totally, done through the
Okay.
Board of Health in the normal course of business.
There's nothing new on here?
There's nothing new on
It's just a
there.
reduced list,
It's a
correct?
reduced
Okay.
list, correct. And I did keep in there the site plan review because we didn't have a formal site plan review, I believe. I think it was supposed to be informal, but I think our plans are pretty detailed, but I left that in there.
No, you do need a waiver for site
That's it.
plan.
Yeah, so I left that one in there.
Approval,
Rich, do
actually.
you wanna, show
Sure.
them the new plans and then give them the update on the Board of Health as well?
So as Shauna said, we've been before the planning board, and there were a bunch of changes that came about as a result of that project and Larry Graham's review. When our original plan had a configuration where the drive was enter and exit out on the, I guess it's the east side of the building with the looped road, and there was concern about the accessibility of that for certain vehicles and the concern for the tightness going around the building. So the plan's been redesigned to have a entrance and exit aisle, eliminating a couple of spaces that were located adjacent to that. We were able to widen it out, get rid of the spaces. We added a handicap space that's located very close to the handicap entrance, which is here. There's a space and a loading area. It's located there. This aisle takes you back to the main parking field. And the driveway that was located on the east side of the building is now a walkway with landscaping. We added a dumpster location. There were, on our original plan, there actually was not a dumpster. There was a lot of discussion about what we're gonna do with the refuse, and after discussions with Mello, it was decided that we could put a regular trash and recycling dumpster location at the back of the site, and they can drive in and back out of that location. The building stayed the same except for, this was an arch in the prior plan with columns, but now it's open except for the set of steps. So that's the major change. There were obviously a bunch of little things that had to occur to pull that off, but that's the major change. And then the septic, if you recall at the last meeting, we were requesting to meet the state flow requirements, but not the local flow requirements, which are designed to accommodate garbage grinders. It's 1.5 times the state flow. We have submitted an updated design that's designed in accordance with the state and the local the local septic regulations. And we had sat down with Debbie Rogers and gone through what she was gonna be looking for, and I think we've accomplished that. So I expect that we would get a permit based on that septic design.
Okay.
It is an innovative alternative system. It's a Presby system. But with that, we've got to prove that we could build a conventional system, which we've done as well. And again, that's being reviewed by their office. I reached out to see if the review was complete, but I haven't heard back yet, so.
And that's the new plan is what's in our packet now, right? Pat?
Correct.
This is the
Which
latest
Shauna
one that was
dropped off.
submitted for.
The
Okay.
one that you dropped off?
Correct.
Correct.
Okay,
And
so
there
there's
are-
been a couple iterations, I just wanted to make sure.
That's the latest plan.
Okay. Yet to
There
be
have
approved.
been, we had another meeting with the planning board. There were some comments that came out of that, and there's a list that I think you guys have that is kind of a wish list by the planning board. And we've gone through it with them, and I think we feel like we can accomplish the list that's there.
So, like Rich said, with the change in the the two-way driveway, originally we were having 2 parking spaces per unit. Now there will be, every unit except for 1 will have 2 parking spaces. But it'll be a 1-bedroom, and 165-110, just for 1 bedrooms only requires 1 space anyways. So we're good there, we don't need to ask any waivers or anything, but just 1 unit will have 1 spot, all the other units will have 2 spots.
Did this added another spot in the street, I think?
It
It
Well,
did.
did it?
It
Because-
took away one last spot.
Took away one, okay, great.
That's right.
All right.
So
So
we'll
there were
still-
3.
There were 3, and now there will be 2.
I got it, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense. Okay. So there was I think it's worth reviewing at least what's left to be done or the review that took place. And Larry, I know we have your recommendations that went to planning. Those were all discussed item for item. Agreed to. Do you want to just kind of walk us through briefly some of those changes? And then there was a laundry list, as you say, of items that were actually agreed to, I think.
They are
Not
agreed
yet
to.
incorporated onto the plan, so we kind of need to understand what else has to change. Okay. Work through that.
So that's on the recommendation from the planning board, is that what you wanna go through? Cause I think it lists them on
Well,
there.
there's Rob's notes, which didn't show up anywhere except in Rob's notes.
He said, when he emailed that, he said it's incorporated.
It's incorporated.
Oh, these are all in here?
Yes.
They are, okay.
Yeah, if you look at the gate. and
Oh,
all
my
that
apologies,
stuff.
okay, I guess
Yeah.
there's several different. Well, why don't we walk through the recommendation of the planning board then? And we don't have to go through all items, but maybe Larry, can you give us a general
Sure.
overview of basically what changed, what's left to be done, and what we need to do for the next time so that we can keep our eyes on
Sure.
the plans that are coming our way?
I'll do the best I can with my voice tonight. It's not real strong. For those of you that don't know me, I'm the technical review consultant for the Georgetown Planning Board. And since they reviewed this for your board to make a recommendation to your board, that's how I got involved in reviewing this and creating this letter, which I'll go through briefly. And that letter is attached to the recommendation made to this board by the planning board, and it's referenced in that recommendation. And it's my letter of April 3rd, 2018. And I'll first say that the revisions that the applicant has made to the plan, I think, have been, really have improved on the plan from the previous 1 or 2 iterations. So I think the project, as far as the proposed design, is headed certainly in the right direction. My letter is really starts on page 2, and I've identified some comments there from previous reports, as you'll see about halfway down the page where it starts out 3 decimal and F decimal. So I'll start there, going through that. we touched on the first one, 3 and F. The redesign now has allowed the parallel parking along East Main Street, rather than losing 2 spaces, to lose only 1 space. And so we had a discussion with the board the other night. The plans should be revised to reflect how those 2 spaces will be painted along East Main Street. The next one is 7 and G. We discussed this at the planning board, and the planning board decided to leave the trash and receptacle that Rich just referred to in the position that they're in the back of the property. My recommendation at 7 and G was to perhaps consider moving them from this position up to here for several reasons. One is because it's more convenient to the users from the 2 buildings. 2, because Mello had submitted a letter to the applicant that they were going to serve the trash and recycle back, pulling in, dumping over a cab, and then backing out. So I thought, geez, that would make a lesser backing maneuver would be a little bit safer for everybody involved. The discussion the other night involved one of the abutters who I believe is here this evening, who suggested that they're speaking for the condominium association next door and herself, preferred to have those dumpsters located in the back where they're shown on this plan because of odor and noise and so forth. So the planning board decided to acquiesce to the plan as is and leave those dumpsters where they are shown on this plan now. The next item is a stop sign, and that is to be located at the exit point back onto East Main Street, short of the sidewalk, and it will likely be not your standard large red octagonal sign, but a modified sign that says either stop or approaching sidewalk or approaching traffic. So that modification we expect to see on the plan. The next item brought about a lot of discussion. That was the tree condition report, which was provided by the applicant. It recommended that 8 trees along the westerly property line be removed, and 4 of those trees are on the abutting property. So the planning board's recommendation, if you read it, suggests that the applicant try to work with the abutter to have all of the trees removed, both on and off site. They didn't suggest or dictate that the applicant should pay for it all, but rather that they should get together and try to work something out, agreement-wise and cost-wise.
I think there was a question of the legality of them being able to force anybody to do anything
Yeah.
as well. Does that sound right?
Well,
to you?
I would think so.
So-
Yeah, and
Well,
that's,
town council's here, we might as well
and that's
get it.
why the planning board.
Can we just add to that? We agreed to work with the abutters and to split the cost of the removal of the trees that are on their property.
If they
If
wanted to,
they're-
but I
if
can't
they-
do it without their,
Right.
obviously,
If they
approval.
agree to
And
that.
I've provided my contact information to them and asked them to please have the association contact me to work it out. I haven't heard anything.
Okay. Well, we have a member of the audience here. Do you, want to introduce yourself? And
My name is Jill Barry Kennedy, a resident next door at 30 East Main Street. And Shauna and I had a conversation after the meeting the other night, and she had said she'd ask Alan if he would, in a goodwill gesture, if he would agree to take down the trees. Since our opinion is that you're recommending they're gonna come down, they're not in good condition anyway. In our opinion, construction's gonna further that, and where Alan lives in town and he wants to do something good for the town, and the project could possibly be a good project. I mean, people are gonna know he's the one that built it, so, a goodwill gesture goes a long way.
Again, I'm not sure what we can do to force anything.
You know, we could
It's
leave
not-
them
It's
up,
not the
but-
applicant's trees, so I know this came up to a legal, so I think we're gonna,
Could I ask a
Yeah.
question? Does the project construction need those trees to come down?
No.
Okay, so there's not much.
they're gonna remove the trees on
On
the
their
applicant's
property.
property that need to be removed. They can't legally be obligated to remove the trees that are not on their property, but I think we would agree with the planning board, that certainly makes sense to get together. So, we know this is gonna be continued tonight, and maybe that discussion can continue offline and
So
maybe see what you guys.
I've offered to pay for half of them,
Okay.
for half of the cost to remove their trees. And that's where we kinda left it, but it's out of my hands now, the association has to agree to that.
Okay.
What exactly, removal is, beyond cutting them down, is it removing the stumps as well, so that you can get proper, base prep for your parking areas and stuff like that, is that,
I don't need to remove any of the trees on their property
okay?
for our construction, so.
And when you remove your trees, will you stump those as well?
Yes,
Okay.
The issue was that they're dying, Larry, I believe.
Uh,
You had an arborist report.
they
I
had
have
was
an
done.
arborist report, correct,
And-
Right,
and
they're
they-
failing.
they're failing.
They're failing, and it was a recommendation to remove them all.
Yeah, okay. Well, I think we can move on from that issue. I would recommend that you can kind of continue the dialogue, and we're gonna be back here in a month, and we can kind of pick up where we are on that and do it. Okay,
Continuing, the next item was number 11 on the next page, and Rich has agreed to relocate this catch basin, as we suggested, over here to the curb line, back to this location. That will make the entrance to the project work a little better without having that perhaps in a wheel path. The next item was they would look at and revisit this level spreader that's suggested back here in the very corner of the site, as it's quite close to a existing tree which is not recommended to be removed. So he was going to revisit that and see if we couldn't lessen the potential impact of that level spreader overflow from the drainage system in the back. The next item, 17, was to increase the depth of the surface course proposed for the parking and aisle from 1 inch to 1.5 inches, which they agreed to. The next item was a suggestion on our part of reworking this walk in this area here a little bit. And they made I think an argument between themselves and the architect that was convincing to the planning board that they wouldn't do that. The next item under 22 was a suggestion to create to show the stair that's missing here that goes down into the cellar of this 2-unit building. That's right in this area. And then to connect that stair to the parking area in the back with a walk, which they agreed to modify their plans to take care of that. The other items that I skipped in my letter, I had deferred to the planning board and Chairman Rob Hoover, and he then created the list that you'll find at the very end of the planning board's recommendation under Austin's notes, Rob Hoover's notes of the Austin plan.
They're two separate documents. Not attached. Two different days.
so this was the list I wanted to make sure we captured, because I didn't think all this was actually in your letter, or was deferred. All it says is deferred.
Yeah, it was not, and these notes, I'd rather not speak to
That's
them or
fine.
try to explain them. They're Rob's notes, and I think the board can read through them and discuss them.
So, I didn't have the benefit of the list in front of me during the meeting, but I believe all of these were agreed to. Is there anything on here that's open for discussion, I guess?
I guess the issue is it says reach agreement with the butter to remove
Right, okay,
trees.
well,
I mean, I can't,
Yeah.
there's only so much I can do.
well, maybe we table that one for tonight, because we know that that's, let's move on, because this, you know,
Just, what's the issue? If they don't want to be involved and they don't want to pay for it, why do you want to take them down?
I don't wanna take them down.
So this is the,
They're
this
being
is,
asked.
as a
They want them
result
taken
of,
down.
excuse
They
me?
want, yes.
They want them
She
taken
just
down.
walked
Oh,
out.
this is their,
They just want us to take them down for free, for no reason.
It's like
They
the
don't
Alright,
pay for
well,
half.
that's, well, that's up to them to figure out. Yeah, you're right. I mean, that doesn't really affect this project in any way, so why is this even an issue? All right, I'll be quiet now.
No, you don't.
Well, the woman that was talking about it just
She-
walked out.
I didn't-
She keeps coming and wanting us to pay for the removal of the trees on their property and to plant new trees on their property.
All right, so, right,
What is the cost
They're-
estimate? I'm just curious that you were given.
6,
Yeah, I'm gonna guess it's
6,000
about,
You've offered to pay 3,000 of it.
plus they want us to replant all new trees. It says here, replant new trees along the property line.
oh,
I think part of the argument is that they're fearing that construction will cause them to fail or fail more quickly perhaps than they otherwise would. The arborist report is,
Part of it.
did we get that? I know I
Yes.
read it, I couldn't remember, I got the planning board meeting, okay.
Yeah.
And I believe if you read through that,
He says that the trees are all failing and recommends that they be removed, but they're their trees on their property.
I know she said at the planning board meeting that because the equipment was already gonna be there, could they take the trees out on their side or something like that? And then there was talk of maybe splitting it or,
right.
but I think they wanted,
She doesn't wanna split it, she wants
she
us
wants
to
it
pay
as
for
a
it.
goodwill gesture for Alan to just do it.
well, Alan can say no,
Yeah, exactly, so.
because there's not a lot else. It just seems like it's almost like blackmail, you know, we're gonna make trouble for you and your project if you don't take our trees down, but it doesn't work that way.
And give us, and plant new ones for us.
I mean,
I
sometimes
think
you
we should
can,
just table
sometimes
this.
you
Yeah.
can do
Well,
that, but
why don't we move on?
Yep.
Okay?
Yeah, let's start with that.
Okay, so, go ahead, Shauna. So,
No, I think that was it. I mean, the other ones, I think we've already agreed to,
Yes.
we've already agreed to everything
We
else,
agreed
so.
I was sort of
that whole list.
listening on and
Yeah,
assuming that this list is synonymous with the discussion that was going on.
It is.
It is.
As I recall, you guys kind of agreed to
Yes.
his
Yep.
bullet points.
we
So,
agreed to these bullet points.
so here it is in writing.
I'm just saying
And by
there's
all
no way
means,
for me to agree
review it
on
in
one.
detail. And so, the question I guess I have for the board would be that if you know, I attended the planning board meeting and watched the previous one, so I kind of feel like I'm satisfied as far as the technical issues go. If anybody has any other issues regarding the plans themselves or questions or concerns, don't let me put words in your mouth. I think the idea was that before they go ahead and make all these iterations, they'd like to get input from this board to see if there's anything else that we need to discuss as far as, you know, additional changes. Larry's review also included the drainage, because I know there was some questions about drainage. And I asked him in the meeting to confirm that it did include, his review included impacts off-site, water flowing off the site and onto the site, I believe, right, Larry?
Yes.
And he confirmed that their review did in fact incorporate that, and the recommendations that he had were all incorporated. Was there any drainage issues left outstanding?
Not drainage issues. There, a letter from us April 13th that asked for basically an update to the drainage
Oh,
calculation.
there's calcs that needed to be done, right?
That will
okay.
be on a record with yourself, your board, the planning board, and their office, so that, basically, they had this initial site plan, which had more impervious area with the additional pavement that went around the east side of the building. When they reduced that, it obviously made their drainage calculations for what they're proposing to do for mitigation better. And we were able to review that, but it doesn't reflect the existing site plan, and I don't think the project should be approved in the end without that being done for the site plan that's being approved and on record with all the boards.
So the calcs basically have to be updated.
Yeah.
For the new plan, right? The new-
Right, we're gonna take out the pavement, we've included the pavement drive, we'll take that out and provide an analysis that is consistent with the new plan.
Okay, fair enough. And I didn't hear anything else really about drainage. I know there was a relocation of a catch basin, I think.
Yeah,
And
that's-
other than that, there wasn't much else, right?
The relocation of the catch basin as you're coming in, just on the right, revisit of the overflow provision down in the bottom right-hand corner of the site to the plan we're looking at. And that's basically it. We also, Rich is looking into the proprietary unit that they're using that is called Prison Guard.
Silk prison, I think.
Silk prison.
Yeah.
And from the information that we can find out about it, the flow of this particular proprietary unit is for a certain runoff intensity. And it appears that that intensity is being exceeded, so we're suggesting that they look into either look into the proprietary unit and convince us otherwise, or put in a more conventional water quality inlet. And that's right in this area. That's right in this area right here.
Okay. There's been some question, there's been some concern, or at least question about how this is sort of a raised site. We've got some retaining walls going around, and I think there was some questions about drainage and how does that work when you have a site that's being theoretically raised on three out of four sides. Could you maybe just address that a little bit, as far as, give us an overview of how that works?
Yeah.
I know you're satisfied with it, but.
Probably know, if you're familiar with the site in this area, it's kind of a big hole back in here. And then there's a little bit of a rise, and then behind the bank building, there is another sump, if you will, or trough back in this area here, basically along the property line. So the drainage runs from the abutter basically down through here and off of this site and into this hole and goes into the ground.
That's existing.
Existing.
Right.
So when they do build this wall essentially around the back and northerly side and southerly side, or westerly and easterly side of the site, and then they will curb inside of that the parking area, the drainage on the site needs to be addressed because it can no longer get to this hole. And what they're doing essentially is filling this hole up with 20 of these units that are about 8 feet long, they're about 4 feet in height, and about 4 feet in width at the bottom. They're called StormTech units. They all link together, and they're set on stone at the bottom. There's stone on the sides and stone on the top, and then they bring their drainage from their parking into that, distribute it into those chambers. And they have really good soils underneath, so that's kind of duplicating what's happening now, except they're putting it underground, trapping the water within their curb to put it into that system.
So that system retains the water until it leaches
Yes.
into the existing
Right.
soil. Okay.
The same, and the drainage area for that system goes from about this point on their drive back, and then from about this point on their drive forward toward East Main Street. They have 9 of the same units planned up here with the catch basin to be located on this curb that will direct the water into the, and this is a very complicated. So that's what's happening on site. What is going to happen off site, because as I mentioned, some of the drainage from the abutter is now coming through the site this way, but their property also slopes to the north. So with the construction of this wall, that drainage will be diverted on back and around to the back of this wall where it goes now. A few years ago, we did a review of the bank building when it was redone. And at that time, they had one catch basin. There was parking back here before they redeveloped it. They had one catch basin back here functioning as a dry well. And we recommended, and they opened that area up around the dry well, about 10 feet away from the dry well itself, filled it with stone to enhance the exfiltration from that dry well into the soils here. That was, because we had done that, we could somewhat go to school on the success of that operation. And to the best of my knowledge, it's been operating fine. That dry well drains as much or more area from the back of the bank building than you will have here. And this is a much bigger system, if you will, has a huge amount more capacity than what that dry well system in the back of the bank did. So I'm quite satisfied with the proposed drainage given the soils beneath the property.
Okay. Great, thank you. Appreciate it. Are there any other technical questions? You have anything, Dave?
We didn't read the new
Oh, I
part
did.
from the
Thank you.
fire chief.
Let's do that.
I know it's from February, but it never got right into the.
Oh, Dave had
And then we
volunteered
gotta
about
do
an
the
hour ago. Maybe.
extension.
I should have asked him to volunteer to remind me. Thank you, Patty. Yeah, we'll read this correspondence in. Go ahead.
It's from Fire Chief Fred Mitchell, February 8, 2018, addressed to the Georgetown Zoning Board of Appeals regarding Alan Olson and Maureen Olson, 34 East Main Street, Georgetown, Massachusetts. Georgetown Zoning Board of Appeals. The proposed building renovation must meet all existing MGL 527, CMR, and NFPA fire codes pertaining to the property's proposed use. Finally, ensure that the fire department has adequate access to the property in case of an emergency response. The fire department is requesting a two-way traffic pattern on the east side of the building for emergency fire apparatus. Please feel free to contact me with any questions regarding Chief Fred Mitchell Jr., Georgetown Fire Department.
That was with respect to the old plan, right?
Yes.
So
So-
Suggest that
I-
when you're done, we have the fire department review it again so they can take a look at it, because now you got
That's
two-way
fine.
traffic on
That's
one.
fine.
Does that make sense?
Well, I met with him, and he actually said he wanted two-way on the west and wanted the ability, if we had a driveway on the east side, to be able to pull in and put his outriggers in, but we're not gonna have a driveway there.
Right.
I think the fact that we have two-way on the west is gonna be satisfactory, but we'll resubmit it to him.
Yeah, you're gonna have new plans, so
Yep.
if we can get his review, I think that would be beneficial.
It's up
Thanks,
to the
Dave.
fire department, but in this particular situation, and with respect to that comment, you've got the drive for the bank, as long as
That's
that's not
true.
closed up for any particular reason, which, as a firefighter, I'm sure a little extra space away from the fire is, not a lot of space, but that extra space will
That's true.
probably be advantageous other than having something right up against the building.
I suppose that all depends on what's determined to be there in the future as well.
Exactly,
Yeah.
if it stays.
I'm trying to think if there's a roof. I don't think there's a roof over that ATM. I don't
No,
believe
it's
there is.
open, you can
Yeah,
drive right
yeah.
through.
Okay.
So with regard to the fire department, you spoke with the fire chief, there's enough turning radius back in the back?
No, it's essentially a driveway, and he said, we have driveways all over town that we pull in and pull out. The NFPA requires that you have access to the building, and the access to the building in this case is East Main Street.
So the pull in and pull out is not affected by this jog in the curb here? Where it goes down and then back, where Larry wanted to put the dumpster?
The curve.
Doesn't that affect their drive? They're pulling in and out. This isn't a normal driveway now. Now it's not a straight driveway. They're gonna have to, when they go to
Is
the
it going to
back.
affect it? Yes. Is it gonna affect it enough that it doesn't meet the requirements, I don't think so.
And was that jog there before? On
No,
the
but there
plans
was an
that you
island
saw?
there.
There was an island there.
There was an
before.
island in parking on the other side, so it's only better than it was before.
I believe that was
From a
wasn't that put in
maneuverability on that side.
because you removed some parking there to accommodate the two-way, and it was a gradual shift to get away from running into the vehicle that's gonna be parked?
You have the old
Right.
plans.
First
We had-
vehicle
I think you have the
slot.
old plans
We
on
had-
there, right?
Parallel parking on this side,
Oh, right,
up to
okay,
here,
right.
and then there was, this island was here.
So that's to direct the traffic away from the.
The access width of that driveway got bigger to accommodate two-way.
And then are the actual units going to be sprinklered?
So I'm not the architect or the fire protection designer, but I think that they have to be. I think if you have more than 3
That would be a
units.
condition of the comprehensive permit, so you should probably check.
Okay.
So it would most likely be a condition, but we can discuss conditions at the end, how you wanna go about doing that. But, and then I didn't see any snow storage on these plans, is that just because it's shown on the other plan? There's no snow storage?
On what plan?
On the new plans, I didn't see it anywhere.
There is no snow
Actually, yeah, did
storage.
that
It's
get
getting
discussed
removed.
on
Well,
Uh,
we talked about it a lot.
Not at the last meeting, but.
Right, we talked about it a lot. There's areas over here and adjacent to the parking area that are available for snow storage. And then if,
So they had me draft a provision that will be in the condo docs that they wanted in there, that, and it was part of everything I submitted to them, that the HOA will enter into a contract for snow removal. Snow removal services will commence upon the accumulation of 2 inches of snow and will continue as necessary during the storm. Sand and salt will be applied as needed. Handwork will be completed after snowfall ends. If necessary, snow will be removed from site and properly disposed of.
What's necessary? And why would you need to remove it from the site? Why couldn't you, it seems to me like there could be a designated snow removal area. The only thing that I'm not sure of is if it would affect the drainage system.
No, it would
So
not.
then,
if
so
you,
then why can't you just designate a snow removal area?
well, we can, but that could be a snow storage area, but there's also snow storage areas that are adjacent to the driveway. In normal storms, would be pushed off to the side.
Well, I guess my concern is that the comprehensive permit will have a condition that states that, no parking space can be obstructed at all. So
Yeah, that's
therefore, your snow storage cannot be where there's a parking space.
That's what I'm
So-
saying,
or
it
you'd
would
be
not
in
be on
violation of
the
your
parking area, and that
permit.
would be
So-
fine.
So I would designate an area, so when you do contract with a snow removal company, they'll know exactly where to put it. And they won't be putting it in a big pile in the back. And then, on the lighting plan, I didn't see any kind of lights around, like near the dumpster in the back. Would that be part of the security lighting? Is that why it's not on the plan? Or are there no lights
There
at
are
the
no lights
dumpster?
at the dumpster,
Yeah.
but there's lights in the parking lot.
Well, I
There's
only
light-
saw, on the photometric plan, it seems like the light, it stops right at the end of the second building, at the back of the second building is the last light.
Yeah.
And so I was wondering how it would get all the way over to the dumpsters.
Well, we're not allowed to, we have a few things that we're fighting here. We can't have any light go over the
Yep.
boundary. So we have lighting up to, this back part. That was as close as, we got with a light. We originally had a light here, but we were asked to move it to there.
It's because it was shining
So-
back at the units?
No, it was shining in that direction.
And so why would it have to be removed? It was on your property.
They didn't, planning didn't like it.
They didn't want it that close to the property line.
Rob Hoover didn't want it there.
might be possible, the fact that, you know, this is gonna be gated, correct? Trash
Yes.
storage area?
Yes.
Might be possible to put something that is not that offensive, that
Comes on when
spreads.
somebody walks up to it. Yeah, that's what most of them are.
How about, Rob had suggested, I think it's in his comments, bollards to protect the, didn't you suggest bollards? Yeah, for the
Yeah.
dumpster enclosure?
Yeah.
How about lighted bollards
Yeah.
on each side?
Well, the bollards that protect the dumpster are gonna be filled with concrete.
But you could get,
The,
Lighted bollards.
yeah, well, I'm not gonna say no, but I'm not aware of a concrete filled bollard that also has a light. We can look at that. We could also put something that's got a sensor on it, so when the gate for the trash opens, that the light goes on.
I think it might be, you know, part of the concern is, I think it's somewhere around 60 feet away. So how close you have to be before you can see where you're going.
Yep.
It's really dark, you know, especially if there's, you know, elderly people could be living there. I think there might be a way to at least look into something.
Sure, we can.
Maybe it's motion,
You can
maybe
get
it's
the
motion
concrete
from.
bollards with the conduit cast into the middle
Yep.
and have them lit. up
Put a light up on the top of the bollard.
Yeah, yeah. You know, at the top of the 5-6 feet up.
Yeah, it's custom, but it's not that big deal to put a conduit in it and, you know, you gotta wire it.
and then my last comment is that you have a signature block on all of your plans for the planning board that needs to be removed, because you've sought a waiver for site plan review.
Okay.
That's a good idea. Anything else, Amy?
No, that was my list, thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Anybody else have any?
What's the latest with the condo docs, and what are those again? That's just basically how the whole place is gonna be managed, essentially?
So I know we had a discussion, back in December about condo docs. And, I didn't wanna have them done yet, and I was confused on whether or not they were required to be done. I know they're required to be done before we can get a building permit. I guess my question is, are they required in order to get a comprehensive permit? I know there are specific, items that the board wanted in there that would be a condition that they be in the condo documents, such as no garbage disposal, we had discussed. And the board also wanted something in there about garbage,
The minutes that I
and
sent
garbage
you?
disposal.
You get that? Okay. I sent her the minutes from what you said, yeah.
So that was my question, I guess, now that it's coming up.
I was
where we
just
are.
wondering, the whole planning part of it is great, you guys did a good, between you and the planning board, you guys really did an even nicer job than you had before, which is nice. So then my only concern after that is when I walk by in 10 years, what condition, will this building be still well-maintained? Will the siding be addressed? Will the windows, like what types of windows are you gonna use in this, that whole thing? Like, I don't know how I can help with that, like, as far as,
I mean, I think that comes with the building permits.
building inspector, yep. So
Correct,
I
yeah.
guess what I'm wondering is, will the condo docs reflect the way in which this building is going to be maintained overall? Is what I'm getting at. Like, do the condo docs reflect snow removal? Do they reflect a landscape maintenance program? Do they reflect removal of trash every week? Do they reflect things like that? So when Alan is said and done and everything's sold, what will this building look like in 10 years? It probably will be fine,
Right.
but I I just don't wanna be burned later by it becoming something that is not as nice as everyone envisions it to be. Your plans certainly reflect a very nice plan, it's no problem. But I just wondered, with condo docs, and I don't know whether they're tied to us or not, I would love to see how this building, when someone's envisioning this whole program, what is it gonna look like when it's all done? What is this,
So I guess I know that we had a list that I thought would be part of the conditions that need to be in the condo docs, such as the snow removal, the landscape maintenance, the garbage disposal, the garbage removal, and anything else that the board wanted. But I didn't think that condo documents were required to get the comprehensive permit. I know they're required in order to get the building permit, but not the comprehensive.
Can't remember, because when we talked about before, it seemed like something that you were.
Maybe you could help.
They don't have to. They should be, but, so, if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman, I
Sure.
can answer Paul's question.
Yes, please.
The comprehensive permit requires that, condominium documents be reviewed and approved by town council. And so what we have is we have numerous conditions in the condominium documents regarding most of the things that Ms. Jamal just said, but we also do the drainage, that they have to maintain the drainage system, they have to maintain the septic system, things such as that. And the condo documents cannot come in they can't be filed with this board and then a building permit's immediately released. I have to review them and approve them and make sure that they're in line as to with the whole entire comprehensive permit.
Right, okay.
So, we will be going through a draft decision at one of the subsequent meetings, and the draft decision, will have numerous conditions regarding the condo docs, and whatever the board envisions as an ongoing obligation, I always suggest go into the condo docs.
Okay.
Just to Paul's point in that, can any conditions that we place to be embedded in the condo docs remain in perpetuity, or could a condo association come together and say, hey, we want to change the condominium documents that don't require, we don't want to do snow removal, we want to do it ourselves or whatever.
So if that were to happen, then the condo association would be in violation of the comprehensive permit.
Okay.
And so there would be quite a bit of enforcement sought on them, not just from the town, but also from the state, because this is a LIP. So this is a 40B that received a project eligibility letter from the state. And so there's affordable housing components, and so it would be in their best interest to not do that.
Does that include overall maintenance of the building?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
The condo association will be maintaining any common areas. It's my recollection, there's none or very few. I think it's just maybe stairwells. They don't have a lobby or anything, but
Right.
no, the condo association has to maintain all of those. Is there an elevator?
No.
So, I mean,
Yeah, good.
it's not.
Do they require a fund, capital improvement fund
There's
or?
fees, the monthly fee.
Condo fees.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maintenance and so forth.
And if the building, it I wouldn't do it, but if it were to go into disrepair, that's also under the jurisdiction of the building inspector as well?
Depending on the state of disrepair, correct.
Right.
Yeah.
But that wouldn't cover like paint. The paint's been peeling for a couple of years, and it's starting to look like an eyesore. I mean, we all know, living here, that, if you get 7 years out of painting your house,
Yeah, you're
that's
lucky.
pretty good.
Yep.
New England.
Well, it sounds like it's all covered as far as it being nice longer, later on. Because again, everyone's gonna go in their separate directions.
What about trash, the size of the bin and how frequent that's gonna be emptied?
So I spoke to Mello about it, and we can actually put a bigger bin in there than we originally estimated. But they said they could come once or twice a week if need be. Because right now, when we initially
It's going to be an overhead, not a roll-off, correct?
correct.
Right, so
It's
they're kind of limited in size,
Yeah.
I think it's a 2-yard.
It's a 2-yard.
very limited in size. I mean, that could be filled up.
But that was, the 2-yard
a
was
week, it's
when
hard
we
to say.
had,
That's a tough one.
the 2-yard was when we had the other No? Walk
Those
I
are
thought
two
it was
2-yard,
Two 2-yard, because they
there's a
wanted
2
recycling.
yards, which includes obviously recycling and conventional trash.
Right, so one for each.
Yep.
Will the trash truck be able to, let's say there are cars parked on both sides, would a trash truck be able to turn around?
They're going in and
We'll
back.
be able to
yeah.
turn around if there's no cars parked back there, or,
Is that commingled recycling too? Must be.
Yes, it is.
You have trash and then single stream.
yeah, that's right.
Well, some weeks it'll be overflowing. We'll have to get emptied more often, and some weeks probably not so much.
Our issue is recycling is, we do, it's like 3 to 1.
Yeah,
Trash
no,
is
it
not
goes
the problem,
totally the other
recycling's
way.
the
The
problem.
trash is it's the same thing.
Good thing, right?
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know
Yeah,
where they're
our
putting
office
it.
was the same deal. We had to get a
I
huge
honestly-
recycle dumpster because almost everything
Trying
go
to
in there
stop
now.
buying it, so I don't know where it's going.
Okay, let's move on. Is there any other technical issues, Dave? Anything else you want to?
No.
I think at this point, I wanted to talk about the plan going forward. So there's a laundry list of things that we know need to be incorporated. We've kind of added a few here. The recommendation from the planning board, which I thought was a good one, was to continue to retain Larry as a technical review to be sure that everything that's been discussed and agreed to actually ends up in the next set of prints that comes before this board, so that we can get his opinion that, you know, everything is as agreed to and discussed. And so with that, I guess the intention, Larry, would be that you continue to work with them as these plans are reviewed. Timing for the next set of plans, I was kinda hoping that by the next meeting, we're done, and we may need to continue to finish a decision, which could take some time, but at that point, sort of the testimony of the hearing can maybe be wrapped up as long as we have, maybe it's wishful thinking, but an approved septic plan.
That's our hope as well.
What's the timeline with a 40B, like a special permit, you can close it and you have 90 days? What's
So, my recommendation would be to not close this, to not have this closed while we're contemplating a draft decision. And that way, if there are any issues that come up with the draft decision, the applicant can address them. If we close the hearing, the applicant, we cannot
Yeah,
take
from-
any new information.
Yeah, from West Street.
And so, depending on any outstanding issues, we could probably review a draft decision at the July meeting and close the meeting then, close the hearing then, and then just, you have 40 days to issue your
Right.
decision, but you could,
We'd
depending
vote-
on the amount of
we'd actually
changes I
vote
have
on
to
it at
make,
that-
you
yeah.
could issue it
Extending.
relatively quickly.
Do we have to review the draft decision as a group, or is that a copy we can get ahead of time?
You can get it ahead of time, but you have to deliberate as a group. And my suggestion is that we deliberate with the applicant here, go over in case any issues come up. Now, the applicant does not have to participate and take the risk of us issuing a decision with, I mean, my decisions have about 100 conditions. And so, you know, the risk of on the applicant is that they've got if they don't like one condition, then they have to appeal it. So, considering, you know, they've been.
If it's made after the hearing's
Sure.
closed.
Yes,
So if you leave it open, it's open for discussion,
Right.
deliberation.
right. However, at this point, we have to close the hearing by June 1st, I think.
Third,
June 3rd, I'm sorry.
which is a Sunday, so we
And
have the
so-
extension.
So, we would have to close it by June 1st, or that's 180 days. So it's up to the applicant whether they want to keep it open or close it.
We agree to keep it open.
So, backing up, I guess, to the plans, the idea would be,
First is a Friday, have to be.
estimate how long to
31st.
get plans buttoned up with everything that's been discussed, a couple weeks? And then your review, Larry, would probably be not as extensive as just making sure that they've,
And
another
then
week or
usually
two.
we get whatever information 2 weeks before the next hearing, so you have time to also.
Well, I don't know, we're gonna get that quickly, but since we've already reviewed everything, I guess if there's anything other than a favorable, yes, they've incorporated everything, and we wanna review it, but that, I mean, I guess what I'm getting at is we have time to get all that done before our next date, which is June 5th. About 30 days. Does that seem doable?
Yep.
What we don't want to do is push the whole thing out another month because
Yeah, we would
because
prefer
we're
not.
still
Say that again?
monkeying with
And
plans.
when, Larry, when would you need the plans by in order to have a recommend,
By the 20th or so of May. That would give
by
it
the
2 weeks.
20th of May,
Yeah.
so. So, May 21st is a Monday. Is that good?
Yeah.
And then there's the issue of the septic, which is already in the hands of the health. If there's any issues that come up, can we make sure that Patty's influenced so we kind of can be in the loop
Sure.
on that? I mean, if there's some
Um,
reason why that's going to take longer or not be approved in time.
No, I would have thought that, you know, it'd be around now that she'd be reaching out. So.
She sent me an email Wednesday that she received, the proposed plans just came in.
We moved it.
That was April, when is it? An email.
It was like 8 days ago.
Yeah, the 25th, she
That's
sent
a
me a
Saturday.
quick
I won't
email,
be
that was.
Oh, no, how about,
Okay.
what day is it, Jeff?
I think it's the 10th.
Oh, 10.
Sorry.
7:10, I have, she just wrote down.
It was on our agenda.
July 10th,
July
sec-
10th,
is the
next
second
Sunday.
week, and then, so, there's a tighter squeeze between July and August, because of the 4th of July.
So the time frame seems reasonable. Larry's gonna stay on board, continue to follow the progress and dotting the i's and crossing the t's on all the technical side.
And we gotta get a check tonight for that. That's no,
Yeah, and then we're gonna continue, what we need to do is continue to,
July? She said
June,
Yeah, I know.
June.
we're gonna
June
continue
5th.
tonight until June, but we need an extension. Do we do it?
Correct.
So,
June one night?
We need to agree to an extension
So-
of something longer than that.
We-
You don't wanna do this again.
the 180
Okay, so here it
days
is.
extension, it would have to be after July 10th, which is the meeting that we would go over the conditions.
Correct.
So, after that meeting, we still have 40 days to issue the decision. I don't anticipate it would take that long, but if you wanted to be safe, maybe do the extension to the day after the August meeting.
Okay.
So the
I'll do
August
that.
meeting is on the 7th, so the
Yes.
8th. So do August 9th to give Patty a chance if there's a decision to issue it. So if just do the 9th.
What do I need to do?
Do
The extension's gonna be until
August 9th.
August 9th.
No, I mean, you said give Patty a chance to do what?
you have to distribute decisions and get it to the town clerk and all that stuff.
Oh, well, it'll take longer than that.
No, I'm
They have-
drafting the decision.
No, but I mean, so our town clerk is part-time.
Mhm.
And in the summer, like this week, there's one person there and very limited hours, so I have to be my hours in conjunction with the town
But
clerk,
if we're gonna
so-
close the hearing on the 9th, we have 40 days to issue it. So within 40 days, you can find the town clerk.
Oh, okay, I thought you meant 2 days.
No, the 2 days are for us
Sorry.
to get everything together.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I'm not around in August, so we'll get it done in July anyway. How's that sound?
That sounds great.
Actually, what is that date?
August
August
7th.
I don't know.
We might
Yeah,
not
I'm gone
even
that
have
week,
a-
but
Yeah, we're gonna clear it
We'll-
out by July.
So what,
the plan
would you
done.
like, so what would we like to write in for this,
Okay,
On the
so
9th,
August
August 9th.
August 9th? Okay, I'm gonna do it, cause you have to sign it first.
What are your meeting dates in June and July?
June, what did we just say?
June 5th and July 10th.
Yeah.
Petition is other authorized
Yeah.
date, day, and sign. On May 1st.
My guess would be that we'll see how everything goes, and if everything
Well, we gotta do a vote, this says we have to vote.
looks fine, you may not need to attend the next meeting, as long as you have a
Hey,
written
Jeff?
recommendation that says
Either
you're
a
happy with
letter
it.
or
Yeah,
letter
Check.
and our attendance.
right, yes.
It says there too, we have to make a motion for that?
Okay,
To accept the request to extend the time.
yeah, do we wanna read this whole thing?
Did you draft that?
Yeah.
I didn't read, okay, just make sure you.
Do you want us to read the whole thing?
Sure, yeah, I guess, just somebody read it
Be
and
so
then
kind.
just vote on it.
Need to make a motion.
I'd like to move, to allow the applicant, Alan P. Olson, 201 Pond Street, Georgetown, Mass. 01833, to allow the Georgetown Zoning Board of Appeals to extend a 120-day deadline.
It should be 180.
Oh, sorry, 180-day deadline as provided for under 760 Code of Mass Regs 56.05 subsection 3 to complete the public hearing opened on December 5th, 2017 regarding applicant's November 13th, 2017 amended November 2014, 2017 comprehensive permit application to construct condominium units for the property at 34 East Main Street and including August 9th, 2018, after which the board shall have the additional 40-day period to complete its decision.
Thank you.
Okay.
Second that?
Second.
Okay.
I need to
Is there
file
any
that.
discussion on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Do a roll call? We don't need to do a roll call, but.
No. So, Jeff, you didn't get to sign it and
Oh.
date it. Then I gotta get it stamped by the
Oh, Shauna,
town
you already
clerk.
did it.
And she's only in
And have her keep a copy.
Yeah, she does. She always does. Always, always. And then the only other administrative
Hello,
thing
today,
is,
too.
I know.
it's with my wife here, is, to get a check. So Larry, you said
Administratively.
email and I copied Shauna on it.
That's
Now,
right.
2,000 should cover, that's gonna cover the April 13th, that second report, plus,
So if you guys don't.
Hopefully this one.
If you guys
We'll
don't.
see.
want to do
We'll have a
August,
billing going out and
Yeah.
then,
it's just this,
I
they're a
will
little, they have
Take a
some
look at it.
sort of
1,020,
shell ready for you in
1,120 left,
June.
and
We have
With
to-
all
the
my
escrow agreement
standard
says they
stuff.
can't fall below
We have
1,000.
vacation that week,
Yes,
but-
Okay, wonderful.
and then in July, you guys can make a decision, so you'll have
Okay.
something to look at between June and
Okay.
July.
Okay, sounds good. We have a revised list of waivers that we can review in the meantime.
Yes.
All those things can be addressed next
Next
time.
week.
Yep.
I mean, next
yep,
next
month.
hearing.
Um,
And then the draft decision that you said with all your conditions, will I get a copy of that before we go through it as well?
If I have it ready in time, yes.
Okay,
If I,
if you do, great, that way
I
I can
just
look
told
at
them
it.
I'm gonna try and get them something for the June 5th meeting.
Okay,
And if I do, it would be a shell
Yeah.
of my standard decision, trying to adjust it as much as I can.
That, that information you'll be getting ready for the June meeting would be based upon everything moving forward the way it is right now.
Exactly,
So,
yeah,
okay.
so I wouldn't be able to finalize it until the July meeting.
You know what a lot of these conditions are
Yes.
already? Okay,
Yes.
great.
Okay,
You moved it.
anything else? Okay,
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait,
did you close it yet?
nope.
No.
What is the water? It's public water. Is the connection and everything okay?
I didn't look at that.
So,
Who looked at that?
in the beginning, Lou left, then Lou Mamrella was the water superintendent. He just had some comments about the water line going in, but now we had, he left, we have a new water superintendent that he left, and now I believe they're running on a consultant, I don't know who's,
There's water in the street, we'll be connecting to that.
but whoever's down there will have to,
Mhm.
yeah, it's just something about, I
Size of
I
the
don't
line and
remember.
pressure.
Connect to with whatever size line you need to have adequate
It
fire
wasn't a-
protection and everything else.
I don't think it was a major,
Fire's up.
it wasn't a major thing.
Well,
Great.
If it was, I would've had it on the list.
We continue, we don't close, right?
Yes,
correct,
you're
I
right.
need a motion to
You guys gonna need
continue.
a fire suppression plan then for us, or is that a condition?
Well, the fire department, is still looking at it, but, we have, I have conditions regarding fire.
Yeah.
So they have to abide by all the state regs, and
It
then
is
I have
the
to check and see if, Georgetown has a general bylaw regarding to fire. A lot of towns do,
Yeah.
that
Mhm.
increase the protection, so I'll have to check and see.
So that condition might be something you address after you get your permit, right? You don't
Yeah,
necessarily
it's
have to
normally
have a.
done when the building permit is pulled all of that, the mechanical systems are
Right.
designed
Yep.
and applied for with the
Yep.
building permit.
Right, okay, good.
Okay,
Good deal.
Beautiful.
all right, do I hear a motion?
A
Like to
motion to-
move to continue the hearings for 34 East Main Street
Second.
Until
till June the 5th, 2018.
at
It's currently
7:30.
connected to the water supply.
7:30.
That's,
Oh, we're
So-
going,
We're gonna put them both at the same
So
time
Jeff
and
can
then.
determine who goes
it's 7:30
first.
PM.
yeah, he's the
Yeah,
chairman. The
wait.
chairman sets
Do
the
you have a
agenda.
second, Paul? Or Dave, did you second that?
Second.
Okay.
Second
So
that.
just
All those in
If we
favor?
could put two at
Aye.
Put
7:30.
everybody
Okay.
on for
Hearing is closed.
7:30.
Okay.
If you're uncomfortable doing that, put one on
Oh,
for
they're both
7:30,
gonna
one
be
on
on
for
the
7:31.
Okay,
But everybody has to be continued to a time and date certain.
yeah, I just
So-
never did two at the same time on my own.
Right, but you can't put,
Right.
immediately following, because that's not
Okay.
a time certain.
What do you need,
Hey, Rich,
I guess all
could you
things-
knock on the door and let her know we're all set, do you mind?
Amy, I've never seen